Oh, no. Sorry. Trade secret.
RoboCop. He died in a war against crime and was reborn to win it. Looking for me?
We're on space missions from Jesus's Yes No. Welcome. The following may be really righteous and possible expansion for you, my creative destructors. If you span it, welcome. This is Open Source Human 1.5. The original Open Source Human, we asked the question, where, when, what, how, and who should we pay for an economy that works? If you review, we've been through the possibility of a Christian sect here that still is somewhat frowned upon, but I call it inspiritual questionomics. Inspiration comes from the Greek. I think it's just basically to breathe. Ritual has a bad connotation as well. But you kind of want to ritualistically breathe, and that comes from questioning your economics. And there you go, in spiritual questionomics. Basically, you call, you ask a yes or no question, and I'll answer some on stage. There's a beginning and end of the program. Many leaders have done much worse than say, I'm God. Well, there isn't one. I haven't been honest enough to be on stage and say, just a yes or no question. How dangerous is that? So if you call and you ask me about my separate book, the answering of the questions, where, when, what, how, and who should we pay for an economy that works, I'll just answer yes or no. And if I hate your question, you get another one. The phone is 1503-245-5334. And as you heard, you may have heard it works tonight. Go back to the old tapes. There's been a lot of loss of functionality and things. But here's if you keep me laughing, then you're on stage. I get to ask you a yes or no question. Same feature. It's we get on stage, we get off stage. It's just life, Some people are forced to never get off stage, but like I've said before, the yuccular ore of the day is that if you want to summon white knights with like business 101 mentality, you have to have ability to liquidate all assets as quickly as possible to save your business, That's kind of what I wanted to end the programs with each and every time. I really wanted to say, gosh, who in this schizophrenic confederacy of borders and languages and wars and battles and all kinds of immigration hopefuls and rightful ways of going about it to get them in quicker, if we border up, but right, here's the thing. If you all don't have, and I'm not saying I can do that by the math, I can't do that. I'm annexed this mental institution. Losses of functionality. Getting back to the yuccular ore, who in that schizophrenic confederacy would lead without that poison pill, that business 101 mentality to destroy all life completely, totally, and without pain? I mean, that's summoning the white knights beyond all the losses, all the basic math. Other people don't know your ancestors or future progeny. Is that a crime? I don't know. In an Oregon era, seems likely. And I wish it wasn't the case. Of course, what are they doing with all that computer power out there these days? Bit by bit, we sell our machines and, Tuskegee, MK Ultra, radicalizations of Noriegas and David Koresh's. You really don't think that they're trying to hack the human spirit. Nothing to fear, because you have this humor that we can do, And I've talked about doing some hopeful things, doing yes or no on separate socioeconomic conditions a book that's been decentralized that I have a feeling has been used against me my whole life because I didn't complete it, because I sensed that those activities were happening and that something would be awares, And there's, you know, mismath, it happens, misdrugging, it happens, mismath, misthought. And, you just, we have to have item number one. We have to have securitization, management, risk management. I can't do that. Like I said, I'm experimental patient with several cases around hopefuls that could solve a lot of constituent issues, and I want to do a party, not a party. But at that party, at that event, no singularity, no wormhole, no. We're just not going to scare the analysts to get proxied out from wherever. We need like a return to pre-lie World War I standard. They called it the war to end all wars. That didn't happen, and we life bit by bit goes on. But if we had like a sound shot, thump card, drive peephole, something liberal to pull it conservative from the Alaskan, executorial or presidents, that might be heard around the world. But this event, I'm kind of in this strange. Maybe we have a yes or no thing, and we get to Yakuza War item number 2 in just a moment. I thought I had an expansion to that, but I won't get into it. Hold on. Open source Shimu 1.5. Do you have a yes or no question? I know a yes or no question. I'm going to go. Okay, you know the show. Thanks. Okay, so we talk about anchoring an event. We talk about no press, greenish zone, no viewports of any kind. I mean, just throw me in there with any space at all, and I can finish this separate book. But we have to have like risk management on that. We have to, there's things that been trying to use my freedom of money for more money because it's just a mathematical fact. We use money, and we've McCarthy'd ourselves already. Why not McCarthy ourselves at a party that makes all systems work mathematically? And I've said before, I have basically, that to finish. Okay. It's basically Yakuza War item 1. Yakuza War item number 2. These are the kind of getting the jokes, I would rather be funnier, but let's get to this. This is called Buttressing the Day. We start this show at 7:04 p.m. Pacific. Where this show kind of goes on. If you've been watching the Twitter book and everything going on in it. So what I like to do at 7:34 to 7:43, it's called a Fabra-Flaw formation. Adds up relatively each way to 77. You do that at the AM hour. You do that wherever you are in the time zones at the PM hour as well. Just merely get an audio or still frame or video signature and send it to your immediate family at that time, so you don't have to worry about them. A new picture every day is more difficult to bid out. Machine code and such. I mean, there's lack of orientation out there, but there's hope. There's really hope. There's the jokes and such. Go look for them. I'm gonna do this real quick. So I'm gonna get to my family. And don't worry if they don't do anything to get photo audio back. Sometimes they do. And that's just life, I mean, we're all kind of in a malaise, aren't we? I'm gonna add a picture. I've got an audio signature. Hopefully that hasn't been tampered with. these things can be done since, peacekeeper, and even previous voice skin references on game console stuff. So I'm gonna do this. This doesn't to be perfect. It's not bad. I think I had a better one yesterday. And just send it off. It doesn't. It may get there, and they may respond. And you feel a little better. You buttress the day. Buttress. It's like sort of an architectural phenomenon. You surround a structure with external buttresses. There, and that basically the day being buttressed. You don't have to worry for your kin, and you can expand it from there. You can, particularly at 11:59 to 12:01 p.m. I get to my extended family and friends a picture. So yeah, it's just it's suckerity. Check out some references, Yahoo Answers and things like that. The activity I've been doing, if it hasn't been taken, I tried to say the show might not be on because I had run to the close end of my data, had to reinvest to just do this, and so that looks like it went through. All right, I want to do a couple expansions tonight. I talked about on the I think maybe not the Facebook. I think I just put a general message out. It was stress for time. We did a little word dodging tonight, and I hope you're getting the jokes. It's movieful. If you recall, I know it was a little quiet there for the first reference, but I'll be back. Doing more. I want to turn now to those two expansion items. It looks like I erred in the Twitter. I was calling it a Rockto, and I will get that secondly. To yesterday's program, we do this every day at 7:34 p.m. Because we want to potty and we want to not be aimed. We want to didn't force that upon. Hey, maybe that's we're missing people. The shame and the lack of transparency and all the guys that keeps the bit flowing, which I can't really endorse. I'd rather not be able to do this program and get things. The potty, was to do basically some bookkeeping. I'll get back to that. So the second item, I called it Rockto. It's actually Frocto. Frocto. Yeah, imagine that. I just got my mind switched when I was doing it and run on the run. So the first one is FSOC. The second one is Frocto. But the goal of the potty is not really to get worried about regulation. I can catch up all the filings later. The actual party mentality, got a couple of names of phase up things for that. But the first item of expansion today, and look back into the programs for the expansions, other securitizations of perimeter, sort of mentality. That first expansion here today, FSOC for selection. I don't know. Money is free speech, right? I have. I wonder. Yeah. Like I did. I brushed my teeth. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. We went through that on the program. Recapping. Basically, no matter what your mythological beliefs. Can I say mythological if I believe in a oneness that is basically knowing more than knowing. All the code and all your money and all your music and all your art and religious and every other value of expansion. But if you don't know that there's something that just by the math keeps us here as like, mostly red-hearted life, then you know too much, Okay, you have to know more than you know, and the only way you can do that, and they're trying to maybe hack the spirit to maybe emerge the same thing. You have to respect it; it's just a variable. But you have to know more than you know, and the only way to do that is to have some focus or prayer toward other music, of a higher power, you know. And that's kind of it's a singularity in itself, believe it or not, a wormhole in itself, prayer and faith, and whatever your beliefs, whoever you still remember or think you will. So that's the first expansion item today. That was kind of a recap of yesterday and previous days as well. Second item, Frocto. This is kind of a heavy one. Imagine this, and there's more specific math to this, but I just want to demonstrate, with the baiting out, and with the possibility that other headspaces get maxed out somehow. Their avatars may take control of your particular orb. This notion, the first child rape, the first. Let me see. It's heavy stuff, but there's more math to this. What I'm hiding, I just want to make sure that I don't lay it on anybody's parade. But get this. This is what I'm thinking. First rape of a child was a tool of war. It didn't happen, or it happened just to make everybody paranoid that they might happen like that. That's what I think. Who would do that unless it was some desperation and subsequent consequences? We have those expansions, creative destructors. So FSOC forced selection of candidates by the money. Should we have it? 1-503-245-5334. I would maybe hook in deeper, but there's just been so many lots of functionality. I don't want functionality, Second, Frocto, not Rockto, whatever that meant. See, they can switch your mind for a reason. First rape of a child, probably a tool of war, and expanded to basically bring everyone to other jokes that you just don't get to laugh at. And it's not funny, I know. But I think I know who thinks it's not funny, Very specifically why. Not entirely specifically why. I don't know everything. Like I said. Those are two expansions for today. So I'm just going to riff on previous ideas. Kind of did a lot of it. The idea I referenced before, MK Ultra, Tuskegee, conspiracy theory, nut stuff. Noriega, sound shots and sound blows and sound daggering. Dave Koresh, no matter how bad these things were that got experimented on, the 5X unit Beavises and Buttheads. I saw the X5 unit. Don't reverse it. It's a 5X unit. It's a socioeconomic plan. It's been referenced in a lot of places. If it hasn't been edited, I actually just noticed another edit today on the Twitter, but got a post up there pinned that kind of references things being misplaced, things just slightly altered. Extra letters attached that you specifically go, no, I'm going to space away from that and come back and leave a space and then do another word, put on and altering the whole flow of the joke, I guess before we get to the previous expansions, that was one of the previous. They'll try to radicalize you. They will say your sect is not valid, whatever it may be. They'll say that secularity, basically the separateness, the cutting away of one value to form others is not okay with all this creative destruction, expansion, all this process of code and such. They are fighting their own weight, and we have to help them. All right, back to the Yakuza War item number 2. It, without sin, may it plug up the first body. I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I don't think he want to. Just wouldn't be bully enough. Yeah, there's other things to say, and I might as well just put it out here now because I was kind of going around, got invited somehow to an event. They wanted me to testify and get withtrolled. If you Mexicane, controlled trolls. They take human form. I've seen it. I'm never kind of meant to do any of that mismath, certainly. I've been guilty of misdrugging, even a mistake occasionally, but I know them all. So that was the yuck. If we get on to body values, we did talk about just being more transparent. Gosh, it's already fully liberal and social, and there's no problem with that. But does it body? And does it hide the body? And does that become a tool of war? But you wouldn't get the joke in that, Other people might. So we got the expansions. Potty values. We want to do kind of an emergent thing before your Robo Terminator give and take of functionality. It's very specific math, Let's hope they know they're fighting their own weight now. Most importantly, acts and stuff I'm not going to see from a green zone. Can't really do much in a green zone, but work on a separate book and know what I've been referencing. The finish. I think that those potty values are just essentially bring your hate legally, to that orientation of legal. The word they gave us, the word legal. So use your freedom of speech, your freedom of money, and head this way as angry as you need to, with the idea that when you were young, artists, security, protect and serve, and beat off of the streets. Beating, the beat. Artists, you remember young. You wanted to be big. You wanted to rule the world. You wanted to be successful. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change. So you just come with them over your money, and you got to bond through these perimeters. You got to respect the ore chested everywhere, male, female, any race. But the idea is just remember. You wanted to expand with some righteousness. and you succeeded, and that can't be taken away. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to hear it. I'm just going to have fun. Whatever vices are given to me, And it's basically the idea is to have, with all these reiterations, these records, um, a bondable, secure, and put through them. You gotta write it this way with whatever you have, and it's emergent. It's emergent. You gotta talk to the legal forces. You have to say, I want to help all these war tested, find their youth, just like you have. I don't get to see a thing, and I'll pick it all up afterwards. Other things, just check out ask your bit lords, your bitcoins, your processors of border and schizophrenic confederacy everywhere. Um, if they wouldn't orientate you better, you know, and like I've said before, if you have children, if you have kin that have that bondability, um, especially the kids, I'd like every one of them to have a line into those bonds, those borders and things that help, uh, you know, to get the electricity. There's a road and a train track and some power lines and a lot of land, to respect more. And I'll clean it up. I'll clean it up if that happens. If you can, do your legal, not dodge the issue or bring people in, where you got to circle around and fear for your life and switch on the emergency channel, not speak, every moment and give them a message from a megaphone you bought today that you could not get to as a pair from before, yeah. I mean, I'll clean it up. If you bring whatever we can artistically draw or forcefully do, I'll pay you for the memories if I ever get decentralized from that green zone. I'm not saying I need to be. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a security of my state and my country and possibly others and county and cities and such. But I have to be able to riff on that with somebody, and that's why I respect the honest threats. I respect the law because at least it will put a nice face on while the whole thing is sinking. It's not easy to do, and you wonder how the misdrugging and the mismath and the mis affects them, and how we get into worse and worse dishonesties. But you, you bring your underground. I've got very specific plans on how to essentially protect the force. But again, I have to have somebody to riff on. I have to get you to contact your steering people. I can't do anything. I won't even think anything most of the time. I certainly don't mismath it, but everything's a drug. Everything physiologically affects mind and body. That's just like health class, right? I couldn't help this. I've been drugged worse than anyone. Go do the research if you want, but record, record these programs. See if I'm not, beholden to everything I've ever done. And I have really specific ways on how that piece can be expanded, but peace is confusing, they say. And I do understand that. You know, putting a kind face on a sinking ship, geez, you would be mistaken for the devil, wouldn't you? No matter what race or gender you are, no matter what tools of force you use. You know, but they're slung low most of the time. You know, whatever force. You know, it's just it's negotiable, as they say. But I have had lots of loss of functionality, and that's what I'm saying. You gotta use your instruments. You have to know it's okay that you didn't want to fail. Whatever misery you grew up in, you had to process it out. You became successful, whoever you are. To some degree, we're all privileged. Like I said, there's knowing more than knowing. Something, beyond just the experimentation. You can look at the old open source human for some of that if it still exists out there. I got some copies. Every show, I think. Anyhow, you got to do it legally. But you at one time you weren't afraid of that honest threat out there. It did give you an orientation, didn't it? I mean, it did sense that your youth and preservation of youth is um, at least an earth concept. And we will be successful, even if we have to potty somewhere else, won't we? Yeah, okay, expansions happen. Let's get, what am I missing? What am I missing? I'm just gonna riff on these things because I am trying to get more rivers and yeah, yeah, we don't want to shut down rivers. Yeah. But again, I don't get to hear any of it. I don't, I mean, not until something greater clicks. And again, the phase expansion of my very creative and very light destruction is whippable once something fails, and I'm that guy, I fail. Something happens, there's some step downs, there's some progress notes to be had on how to move me into a punishment that could end torture in very specific ways. Uh Kind of the expansives I riffed on before, I think. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. But you can't just go into an open hearing stuff with partisans and people who believe their borders don't need walls. You know, who believe that a wall would actually possibly be a symbol of trust in that it would eventually degreen and allow more movement of things that affect body and mind, people. I'd like to re-immigrate. Honestly, I'm the hurt man. I said that before. I look at the cases out there. There's still some fidelity. Um, yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, but I'm not delucid on the idea that these generals of law and things will keep spinning you partisan and won't get you the controlled collapse of strength that will not expand, at least personally. because it would not work according to the math. It could be seen having a good time, but I would not be heard. It's something we've all heard, I think, in bit somehow. But it's functional. It's functional, isn't it? It's kind of geometrically proven that if you are a wild youth, something will want to contain that, and that I've needed. But a return to innocence or something. No. And it wouldn't work any other way by the math. I just have to be seen and not heard. I finished my separate book, my material that has been decentralized from paper and sort of spaced out in cursory phenomena, altered, possibly used against you in my name, or would eventually appear somewhere as my doing, because they want to radicalize anything they don't understand, something that would bring peace, that would bring subsequent confusion. But the faster we get through it, the relief, and I just stay wherever you put me. I got like 17, 19 options for people to decide what to do with this open source human. It just doesn't work anywhere but that. And I'm not saying I need to take control of any machines, It's not it just doesn't work by the math. I can organize into, regulative compliance, phase up later. But my plan cannot go into effect for really a long time. And if you're worried out there, we said before in the program, Christian values of apocrypha. Look up that word, not apocalypse, but there's been apocrypha. There's been many wars and battles. My epiphany, it was 4.5 years ago. Nothing's happened. I've had my own hurt. But as I've said on the show, you can endure your personal pain through forgiveness. It's your choice. You should always trade. I think it was just yesterday we did this expansion. You should always trade a little bit of personal pain if you perceive some mathematical concept that will get everyone to heaven, That's what my God of mortals, the Son of Man sort of concept, taught me. And in a spiritual sense, maybe by the bit, who knows? Like, these things can't happen. Yeah. So, yeah, he sees you party. Don't tell your kids. Keep it all closed off until they graduate. They'll receive the orientation to Law and Order then. All right. I can't apologize. I've done the best I can perceive with all the faith I was abducted into as a youth, and expanded into every other myth, and even to the point of force of believing that my own beliefs momentarily, in increments, my personal pain of mine can be sacrificed for getting everything to a heavenly realm or progress in that direction. So far not. number again, calling in at 1-503-245-5324. This has been an error again. We usually end at the jackpot minutia. Flaw formation of 37, my age, 37. 3 sevens, right? Yeah. Jackpot minutia. Minute minutia. Yeah. It's these, we're worried about a brain drain. I don't think it's true.